Welcome in. It's Clearing the Air with Kevin Calaire. I am your host, the one, the only Kevin Calaire. I wanted to do this interview with someone who I've talked to a few times. And her name is Emily Applegate. If you don't know who she is, a few years ago, when that huge story came out with the Washington Redskins and Dan Snyder and the toxic workplace, the things they were doing, taking cheerleaders on trips, and just like the way they treated a lot of the women in the workplace and stuff like that. When that whole thing came out, the kind of the leader who spearheaded that, I don't want to call it movement, but for lack of better terms, the person who spearheaded that movement, the person who actually was willing to come out, speak on it, say, yes, it was me, it happened to me, I'll tell my story, I'll go all over the place, and I'll put my face on the screen, was her. So if you are unfamiliar with the stories, go look her up, Emily Applegate. She does a lot of stuff, used to work for the Redskins, like I said. And it's been a while. So I had her on my other podcast, and I had her 2 times. And so I really wanted to get her back and just get her back in that rhythm of, having her on a semi and not really regular basis, but just every so often getting her back on. She's a huge advocate for women, and it's nice hearing, I can talk to you guys till I'm blue in the face, and I can say all the right stuff when it comes to the way we should treat our peers, men or women, but it's nice to have another perspective. So I really appreciate her coming on and talking with me. It's always great vibes. It's all love. So I want to, like I said, I don't want to, I really just want to get this out here. We're going to spend the time talking about the Harrison Butker speech, but not so much about the speech, but really everything that surrounds the speech. So I think that we hit a lot of good points. I think a lot of good points were made. I think that is something that we all need to make sure we hear, listen to, and have conversations about. Because I do think that a lot of the things that are being brought up based on that speech are stuff that have been a thing for a while, and we are just finally, getting around, and we constantly have to get around to having the same conversation. So, this is, like I said, Clearing the Air with Kevin Calaire. This is the Emily Applegate. We can call it interview. We can call it bonus episode. We can call it whatever we want to call it. But me and Emily, enjoy. All right. So this is the very first, hopefully not the last time that I get to talk with the one and only Mrs. Emily Applegate. If you don't know who she is, Google her. I'm not Shannon Sharp, so I don't have the means to list off all her accolades, but she's got them. I promise y'all she's got them. Emily, it has been, since being on the mic, it has been multiple years. I know that way back when, so there's a different audience here. This is not the same podcast as before. And I wasn't able to save it, to revive it, bring it back. So this is a completely new audience. So they don't know you. They don't know how we get down, but it's all good. But really just last time we spoke, at least on the pod platform, you were in law school, and this is 2020, 2021. I don't know where your life has gone from here. Real quick, before we dive into some stuff, how are you? How are things going in your life?
Well, thank you for having me. The first thing you're gonna go into is school. That's crazy of you. So honestly, and I told you before, there's not really anything, everything's fair game. And if I'm not honest and open about certain things, then I feel like I'm just a hypocrite, because that's all we ever asked for with the NFL. So the reality of the situation is that I did not perform academically the best of my ability in law school. So I had to take some time out. And in that time, though, everything happens for a reason. Everything happens at the time it's supposed to happen. And while I'm not close yet to being a licensed attorney, I did get my MBA in the past year or two. I've been working with a criminal defense attorney doing very much what I want to do once I do have a license to practice. I've been given many opportunities in my job to learn so much, and the reality of law school and studying and taking the bar doesn't really prep you for practicing the law. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, especially in criminal defense, people kind of get started and don't know what to do. And thankfully, because of my job, that won't happen to me. So eventually, someday, when I do get licensed, I will have a jump start and really be able to just dive in as soon as possible. So all's good. We're just taking the longer path.
Moving at your own pace, moving at your own pace,
Yeah,
and
there
that's
you
okay.
go.
That's a very, very eloquent way of saying what you said.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing is that you're basically Mike Ross, the human version.
No,
So,
because I'm not doing anything illegal.
practicing law, don't have hey, but it's all
Certainly,
good.
certainly not practicing in
Uh,
any stretch of the imagination, but
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
do get to be involved in a lot of stuff that teaches me what I need to be doing one day. So it's good. And I think so many people, after I went through the academic issues that I went through, so many practicing attorneys finally opened up about their own struggles back in law school or just trying to pass the bar. And I learned that it's a little bit more common than I thought. And those people, though, were always so ashamed and didn't want to share and talk about it. And I just don't, that's not me. I
yeah.
just spill beans all the time. So,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, that's the part that like one of those harsh reality things that people don't realize, right? Like you see people do X, Y, or Z, whatever the career is, and like the shit is hard. Like
yeah.
passing the bar is not just like, oh, you just take you do what you need to do in school, you just take the test, and then if you paid enough attention, you'll this is not the
No.
final exam of English one freshman year of high school. Like that's not how this works. It's a lot of reading, and I know that um, part of the reason why I like lost an interest in law after like middle school was one, I found out the amount of school, but two, like I feel like the law is always changing. And like when I say that, I don't mean just like the main whatever, like not murder is still murder. Like that's not what I
Yeah.
mean, but just like even the certain things in like the fine print change. So you're reading all the time and you're updating all the time. And I don't know how you are able to learn something when there's so many like changes on a consistent basis. So I mean, it's fucking hard. And that's cool. Like
It is. It
so
is hard.
no judgment here because I didn't do that. I switched my major 3 times because I was scared to take Spanish 3 and 4. So like that's just how that's in undergrad. So no stress there. But it's good that you you're still on the path and you're still making the most of your time, even if
Right.
it's because a lot of people will stop, quit, go back to their parents' basement or attic or wherever and just
So
like be like, "Ah, I
I
didn't
go
do it."
back to my parents, but I'm not in the basement.
You are not helping yourself here, but it's cool. It's cool.
Oh, I don't care.
um,
I'm very proud of it.
Fair
Do you know
enough.
how have you seen this economy? I don't pay rent right now. It's great.
Yeah, must be. Yeah, that's nice. Must be nice. Good lord. Good lord. Yeah, yeah. Honestly, if we're being real, maybe you're doing it right. But
No, I am 110%. I mean, they have their downfalls of the situation, but
of
that's
course,
fine.
of course.
I got
So,
in-home dog care, free
yep,
meals, and free
yep.
room and board. I'm not mad.
Look at you. I mean, what do you spend money on then?
You know what's really funny is I really don't do much. So you would think that
Okay.
I would have a lot more money, and I really don't. So I don't know. If I find out, I'll let you know because I don't know where it goes
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, that's it's one of those things where it's like people say all the time, like, oh, the more money you make, the more money you spend, so you don't really like feel like you make a lot of money. And I'm always constantly like, okay, when I budget stuff out, I should have a lot more money in my pocket than I have in my
Right,
pocket.
right.
Where is it?
I mean,
Um,
I 100% blame Amazon for most of the issues.
okay.
If that
Well,
didn't exist and I still had the lazy gene that I have where I don't feel like going to a store, I'd be a millionaire. But with them delivering it straight to my home within 5 seconds,
Yep. Yep. Are you
so that's probably.
Instacarting with like Walmart and stuff like that? Like the
You know what's funny is that when I did live on my own and I had my own plate, I hate going to the grocery store. Like I absolutely hate it. I think it's the worst chore as an adult that you can force me to do. So I used to do that. Now, since my mom stocks the fridge,
Yep. Yep.
I only have to grab a few things. So I do just go now. And
That's one thing as an adult, because grocery shopping is an abysmal chore for sure. I personally like, I'll pop some headphones in and call it a day, but just the fact that I have to, like, keeping the fridge full, the pantry full.
Yeah.
I'm always walking around the house hungry, saying that there's no food in this freaking house, even though I'm sure there is somewhere, but
sure.
it just feels like I never have food.
No, I mean, but I say that to my mom now, and then obviously she just tells me I can go.
Right. Exactly. So, that's that's dope. For people who don't know who you are, and how we met, to keep it simple, because I do want to get to said topic of discussion. You know what I almost did? I almost went and pulled up pictures so that I could like flash them while we did this, but like I didn't have like. I was like, I don't know, like, some people like me, if you take a picture of me 3 years ago, I'm like, So I didn't want to do that to you. I didn't want to put you on the spot.
I probably looked better 3 years ago. I was younger. I probably had makeup on. Right now, you're killing me.
Look, hey, I'm sorry.
I probably had lashes on, extensions in. I was probably looking good. You probably flashed
the one on the cover of there's one of them. You're in the gray shirt.
In front of trees.
Yes. Yeah. that was gonna be one of them, but then I was also gonna like there was another one like something from ESPN. They didn't show that picture, they showed a different. It was gonna be like you on the camera of ESPN, you had your hair up, glasses on. It was
I got made fun of for the palm trees, but that is legitimately my parents' backyard. It's
look at that.
A beautiful little oasis in New Jersey, but I did get a lot of people making fun of me because they were like, why did you just go in front of a bunch of palm trees and take pictures? They came to me and this was the option that was presented to us. So.
I have to remember there are people who are listening who have no clue what we're talking about. No, Google Emily Applegate. Just Google. If you are anyone who pays attention to sports over the last 4 or 5 years, the Washington Redskins Commanders football team, whatever the hell you want to call them at this point. And what's that dude's name? Oh God. Who is? It's not James Dolan. It's what is his name? You know who I'm talking about. Who's the owner, or who is the owner?
Who used to be the owner, or who is the owner now?
Used to.
The former owner is Dan Snyder.
Dan Snyder. That's the one. Him, Dan Snyder, Donald Sterling, same initials, and then freaking whoever I just named. I get them all messed up because they're all jacked up in the head. But anyway, if you are familiar with the stories in regards to the hostile workplace environment, and hostile is me putting it lightly, you're looking at the face of that whole kind of thing. It's just the first person I saw to actually put their face on it and put their voice on it and say, yeah, I'm here to talk, and I'm not trying to hide behind X, Y, or Z. So you guys go Google or check her out, as Shaq would say, Google me, Chuck, and so on and so forth. So we're going to get to the shits because it's already been 11 minutes. I'm sure that you have heard a specific commencement speech at Benedict College over the last week. I guess it was 12 days ago or so. Harrison Butker, the kicker of the Kansas City Chiefs, made some comments in regards to women. And I'm going to play it for you. I want to get if you can, give me funny. What your...
I'm sorry, I haven't actually listened to it. Oh, so you're going to get me all around.
Perfect. Yes. Okay. That's exactly what I needed to hear. Because I was going to be like, all right, what was your first thought? And then like, okay, once you slept with it, what was your next thought? But okay. Oh, this is perfect. Okay, so let me pull this up. I've got two different spots. I'm gonna play it from 0 to 115. Then I'm gonna pause and get your opinion. I'm gonna play another like 20 seconds after that.
Sure.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I mean, I've read it and I know like the gist, but I have not listened to his voice because like why?
Why? Yeah.
Ugh.
All right. Here we go. Oh, wait. Skirt. Pause. Also, everybody who's watching on YouTube, I'm getting ready to play this on my phone in the mic because I'm ghetto like that. So forgive me. All right, here we go.
For the ladies present today, congratulations on an amazing accomplishment. You should be proud of all that you have achieved to this point in your young lives. I want to speak directly to you briefly because I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now about to cross this stage and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. I can tell you that my beautiful wife is
Okay, I'm gonna pause it right there for a second because I think that it's very ironic that once he stopped, a baby started crying in the background. I thought that was nuts. I couldn't tell what it was at first when I listened to it the first 3 times, and I was like, I think that's a baby. That's kind of crazy. Anyway, I'll let it keep going.
would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. I'm on this stage today and able to be the man I am because I have a wife who leans into her vocation.
That's all. That's it. I don't need to play the next 10 seconds of that. That gives you the gist of kind of his where he's going with this. It gets better, but let's start there, Mrs. Applegate. Let's discuss Harrison Butker. I just want look at your face.
It's so gross. What the kids say, it gives me the ick.
Yep, it gives me the ick.
It does. He is pretty much telling every woman at least in the audience, first off, that the last 4 years of their life, of them working hard, them putting effort into their schoolwork, into future plans of their careers, so whether they were interning places or working part-time jobs just to pay for school, was a waste of their time. It is a slap in the face to the fact that those women are now going to be in debt, in student loan debt for God only knows how long, because how bad student loans are right now in this country. And he's going to sit there and tell them that you just wasted all this time, you just wasted all this money because your worth is nothing until you're a mother and a wife. I guarantee you his wife is not happy. I guarantee you that she likes to cash his little kicker check and go on with her life. But I guarantee you she's embarrassed by the words that come out of her husband's mouth because he is embarrassing to listen to. I also love that he is currently on a team that is getting so much attention outside of their ability to play football because of our queen, or let me say half of our queen, because you got Beyonce and Taylor Swift. So together,
yeah. Those make the queen. Yep.
So one half of those queens is bringing so much attention to a football team, and I would love to be a fly on the wall for him to say that to that woman's face, Taylor Swift's face, that she is not worthy because she's not a wife and mother. Meanwhile, she's selling out world tours. She's becoming a self-made billionaire. She's going to go down in history as one of the best lyricists of all time. And he is a kicker, a job where if you want to compare men to women, the only position on a football team that women will play. So you want to be all manly and mighty and big and tough, but your position could literally be taken away from you by a woman. So really, are we comparing what exactly? He's
I
mean, that was the clean version of my thoughts.
Yeah. And by the way, by all means, be as vulgar as you need to be. Get it out. Like I can hear like the New Jersey, like all of that accent coming out, like all of it. Like so My girlfriend is from New York. All her family is from New York. Her older sister is very similar, in which, like, when we first met back in high school, I wouldn't have known, but when she gets upset, like, it just comes
Oh
out.
yeah,
And so,
just
like, I'm hearing it and I'm
I
like,
know it's
ah,
wild.
yeah, 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 yeah,
It
yeah.
happens all the time. I don't know why.
So a few things, and it's funny because when you mentioned how his wife, like, what his wife would be thinking, I'm pretty sure this next clip I'm gonna play, the next part of it has to do with, like, her and, like, her dreams not being like. So I'm glad you said that, because he's gonna yeesh. Um, there's a couple things here that I think that you know what? Actually, no, let's keep going. It's another like 20 seconds, and then I'll go into, like, some of the stuff that I wrote down. But I do want to let you. I want to let you cook, because this is what we're here for.
I say all of this to you because I have seen it firsthand, how much happier someone can be when they disregard the outside noise and move closer and closer to God's will in their life. Isabel's dream of having a career might not have come true, but if you asked her today if she has any regrets on her decision, she would laugh out loud without hesitation and say, heck no.
So it's funny that her dream didn't come true.
Yeah, that. Ugh, good Lord. So a couple things here that strike me just a bit. One, I'm not somebody who has this, like, I don't like speaking for my significant other.
Yes, you shouldn't.
I'm like, if it's something like, oh, what's her favorite color, right? I can tell you her favorite color. But when it comes to something like, uh, I don't know, like, well, what does she, like, wish that she would have done? Like, even if she and I have had the conversation, like, I just have never felt that it's my place to say, oh no, she's happy doing this, that, and the third, whether she is or not. Like, it's just almost kind of like, you know, you don't ever see it in reverse. Like, you don't see his wife, well, Harrison, he wanted to be a quarterback, but he'd
But his dream
laugh.
didn't come true, so he's the kicker.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Dream didn't come true, so he's the
Not
kicker.
that
He'd
there's
laugh.
anything wrong with being a kicker, but in this particular situation, I have to shit on the position. I'm sorry.
Oh, of course, of course. And it's funny you also mentioned that of all the positions that a woman would play, would be a kicker. My senior year of high school, our kicker was a girl.
And I would also like to state, for the record, that I can make a field goal too. So
That's right. Didn't you play soccer?
maybe I did. Yes, and maybe
yeah,
in the times that I can make them, I don't have a bunch of people rushing at me. So I'll give you
but
that.
still,
However, I can do it.
yeah,
So
no, yeah. So yeah, so that's number one. And I honestly feel like when you're giving a speech, because the other thing about this situation is, it's not like you're being interviewed. It's not like someone's asking you questions about your wife,
no,
right?
he
This is a
thought about
speech
this.
that you wrote, right? You maybe read it in the mirror a few times. And I would assume that you ran it. Hey, Isabel's his wife name. Hey, like, listen to the speech I wrote, right? Do you think it's good? I'm finding it hard to believe that she heard that and said yes. But anyway, I don't think that was even necessary from the start. So I do feel like that is even if he didn't know he was doing it, it's a subconscious, like, uh I don't even really know how to describe it, but it feels like that was intentional. Like,
I mean, I think that any man, and I'm going to be very specific, I'm not going to go back and forth and say man or woman. Obviously, it can happen both ways. But I think any man that is trying to make the point that he's making is very much also in the mindset that they should be in charge and in control of their significant other. So I wouldn't even think that crosses mind. Like, should I ask my wife if
good
this
point.
is going to be an okay thing to say? I am sure that didn't cross his mind, because in his world and his mind and his theory of life, he makes the decisions, he's in charge, she does what he says, he's the breadwinner, he's the one that the dreams come true, and the wife is supposed to just sit home and take care of her kids, which is fine. And if that's the life that you want to live, then live it. My mother has been a stay-at-home mother forever, and if you ask her if she regrets anything in her life or if she wanted to do anything different, she would say absolutely not. From the time she was a young girl, she knew she just wanted to be a mom. She wanted to come home, take care of the house. That's what she wanted to do. However, she was never told she had to do that. If she wanted to do something else, she damn well would have done something else. This particular situation doesn't seem, to me, at least in this brief amount of time that we have to listen to him talk, unfortunately, where that's the situation. I mean, he literally says that her dreams didn't come true. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny, like, will he talk about his son? If his son said, I don't know if he has a son, but like if he were to have a son and his son were to say, "Hey, Dad, I wanted to play football like you, but I think that I'm just gonna like let my wife do X, Y, or Z, and I'm just gonna be a stay-at-home dad." Like, and that's just then that's gonna and I like want to do that. Like, I wonder if this same sentiment is that way if it's reversed. I would say, I'd be willing to say no.
Yeah, I would bet my life on. That's a hard no.
To make sure that everybody who's watching is not confused, me, Kevin Collier, I wholeheartedly can't disagree more with what's being said. Just need to make sure I put that on this because people, so that's number one. I think what's happening when people have these discussions, you see these on Twitter, you see these on TV. We keep when I say we, just people in conversating about this, we keep getting stuck in his right to say what he said. Nobody is trying to argue that he doesn't have the right to have his opinion. I think that when you do that, it's almost like trying to provide this avenue to tame the backlash. Nobody's arguing that he has the right to say it. We're just saying that our opinion, our right to give our opinion, is that that's absolutely asinine.
Right.
And then I think that what that doesn't do in his speech is it doesn't consider the women who have decided, I don't want to have children.
Yeah.
I've like you can't come out here and speak like, and I understand it's like Benedict College and like it's like a Catholic school, and so like maybe some of what he's saying is rooted in religion or whatever, but like you can't come out here and just blatantly say stuff because prime example, my cousin is someone, she doesn't want kids. That's just something, her and her husband, they don't want kids. They're living their lives as they want to live their lives. So what Harrison is saying to her and to any woman in that crowd that doesn't want kids is, not really quite sure where you're going to find your purpose, because the only thing that really should be important is being a mom and holding a household together. And I think you can be proud of such a thing without necessarily having to make that thing your only like goal in life. Otherwise, why are we here? Why are you going to a commencement speech for people to finish college if the whole point of life is to get to a point where you didn't need to go to college?
I just feel like there's an all-male school somewhere that he could have spoke at. Is there not?
Probably. I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is, for sure.
I'm sure the only one that comes to mind right now is Morehouse. I'm sure he's not going to be invited there. But
No, yeah, hell no.
I'm assuming that there's another place that he could have went and made this speech. And I also think that it's a slap in the face to any woman that's on faculty or staff that's sitting in there as well. They have careers, unless there's an all-male staff behind him. That it's a slap in the face to every single person that is a working mom. There are women out there that have children that want so desperately to be a mother, but they also have no other choice but to have a job, have a career, and focus on that as well. And again, let's talk about the economy. A lot of times they can't afford childcare. Even if you desperately want a child, you can't afford childcare. You can't afford health insurance once you have. There's so many things that go into it that it's also a slap in the face to women who desperately want children and just can't right now. He has absolutely no idea what he's talking about because he is not a woman.
Yeah.
Point blank, period. The same reasoning as men making laws about women's medical health when it comes to abortions or issues with their pregnancies, late term, whatever you want to call it. They don't know. They have no idea what it's like to have those kinds of emotions and feelings about children, whether you want them or you don't want them. They have absolutely no idea what it's like to carry a child and be in a position where you don't know if you or your child are going to survive. They've never been in a position where you're accidentally pregnant and now your life is going to get changed. It doesn't necessarily change the father's lives. It only changes that you have absolutely no idea, which is why the entire thing, it truly doesn't make sense to me. I can't wrap my head around why people think that this makes any sense.
And it feels like it's a discussion that's old as time at this point. Like every day
he's quoting the oldest book ever, the same book that does not speak at all about, he also, because I know he said something about LGBTQ. The Bible doesn't say anything about gay people. Bible sure doesn't say anything about abortions. There's all these different things that the Bible doesn't say to disrespect women.
Right.
There's all these things that you're just hiding behind your religion in a book that doesn't make any sense. And to what you said before, sure, you have free speech and you have the freedom of religion, and you can go make a speech that you can quote the entire Bible if you wanted to. But that's not what you did.
Right.
You took your time to degrade women. That's all you did.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's this idea of like someone just this overarching theme that we tend to constantly hear coming out of people's mouths, even if they don't, and this is where I was going to earlier. They're doing it subconsciously, even if they don't. They're not thinking in their brain, oh, I need to make sure that I degrade some women right now. But they, this just kind of the way their brain is wired, probably has something to do with the way they were raised, the way they talk to their homies, their parents, grandparents, yada, 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 is like this, like, well, this is what you're supposed to do. You have to do it. You go back to the laws, and I'm glad you're out of Texas. Going back to the laws that are created by people who, one, are never going to have to face the reality of what said law means from like a personal standpoint, and with their body, and then two, can't even begin to understand what type of effect this type of stuff has on women of the opposite people of the opposite gender. The other thing with this that I think it brings up, it's almost like, I thought we were in 2024 where we kind of were getting out of the gender roles realm of things. Like, this just goes all the way back to the ignorance of like, all right, yeah, like husband and wife, woman cook and clean, man work and do hard labor and yard work and all the woodworking, and then your kids are going to spend 78% of their time with mom, and the 22% they spend with dad, it's dad and mom. But they're not spending a lot of time with dad, and dad's out doing God knows what, while mom puts 2-3 kids to bed and cooks dinner and cleans, like all this stuff, like all that gender role stuff that I thought that we were past. Like just from a common sense standpoint, like obviously there are people who are old school, and because that's what they're calling it, is old school. And but I thought like someone Harrison Butker's age, I mean, he's not much older than you or I. It's not like he's
from, I mean, his mother is successful in her career.
Yeah.
She is she a physicist? No.
Yeah.
Something like that, right? Yeah. So it's like, talk about disrespecting people. You're now disrespecting that same are you upset that she wasn't home enough for you? Like, if you have mommy issues, just say you have mommy issues and goes to a therapist. You do not need to spew your hate to a bunch of people that are going to hear it. Like, work your shit out in private, just like the rest of us. Please.
Yeah, right.
Or nobody knew who you were on the Kansas City Chiefs and you really were desperate for the attention. I don't know. One of those two things were happening though.
You know Michelle Beale. I mean, you know her, you know who she is. Like, not like, oh yeah, that's your homie. Like, but you know who she is. She's got her own little podcast ever since she left ESPN, her and Peter Rosenberg. She had some stuff to say. I thought you might enjoy this, but I think that she very eloquently, and basically the reason why I haven't said these words is because she said it, and I didn't want to like take it as me saying it when I was trying to figure out how to explain what he did, but she did a really good job of doing that. So I won't play this whole clip either. But we'll play like 20-25 seconds of it.
Okay.
As a woman, I think everything he said was garbage. I think when you hide hateful thoughts and feelings and bigotry behind the quote unquote cloak of religion, I tend to roll my eyes and stop listening. But I think the fact that there were women in that audience that were not okay. I mean, granted, there were some that clearly were, but there were also some that weren't, who have come out since and been like, what the hell, dude? We just worked our asses off for years. And you're going to come in here and tell us that's all cute and stuff, but what you're really going to want to do is get married and have babies. Then you'll feel important. Like, go fuck yourself.
So that's like, that was, and she basically in 28 seconds just said our entire conversation, which is why like she gets paid the big bucks, and I'm recording and posting on YouTube. But I want to get into just one more element of this, and honestly, we'll probably have to save our second topic for another day because I'm looking at the time. But the next part to discuss is the accountability factor from your surroundings. There's a lot going on with P. Diddy. And there's a lot of discussion about the people surrounding P. Diddy, the people who are close, the people who are in the corner, loved ones, things of that nature. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. So, you know, when you're somebody who is dad, you're somebody who is brother, you know, dad might be of a different mindset. If you're someone who's brother, your best friend, your teammate, right? Head coach. You know, Patrick Mahomes comes out and says, I don't agree, but I know he's a good person and I judge him based on the stuff I see day to day. Me and him have different views, but I don't think he's a terrible person. Andy Reid, you know, same thing, basically. Roger Goodell, well, there's a beauty of this is that everybody can have their own opinion and da. Like,
of course.
yeah. But like, how accountable do we hold the people who are around him to like have conversations where it's like, yo, dog, like this is where your ignorance is showing a little bit, whether you meant it or not. And if I truly believe you're a good person, I feel like I don't want to use, for lack of better terms, I feel like it's my responsibility to kind of school you a little bit on like, hey, this is kind of where the disconnect is in what you said. Can you at least understand what's happening here? And do we, as people who aren't involved, aren't close, is that fair for us to expect that from people who are close to him?
I mean, I think honestly, to bring up P. Diddy again, there are so many people that jumped to his defense when the allegations first came out, and now they're backtracking and they're like, okay, now that there's proof, and I'm so sorry, I should have believed, and this and that. But I'm hoping that that's a situation where these people have not been around enough, and hopefully they're not around enough. Hopefully they're not in the situations where there's a lot of domestic violence that they're witnessing. But maybe when you just straight up don't know anything about that particular topic, you're very quick to be like, no, I know him, he's a good person, and let's move past. Mm-hmm. In this situation, maybe he has not been around enough people that are part of maybe the LGBTQ community, or women that have been able to successfully have a career and a family at home. Maybe he really does just need to have conversations. And I think that it's important for, just like when people are now speaking out against Diddy and saying that, all right, he was wrong and that was my dude, but like that was wrong and he needs to fix all that. Maybe these same people that are around Harrison, I need to do the same exact thing and have these conversations. And I think, to put it into my own personal experience perspective, there were so many people when my story first came out when they were like, I didn't know 98% of those things that you had talked about. And I said, well, I said them, but you didn't want to believe me.
Right.
I said what was happening every time I went to work, but your position was, well, I go to my job and that doesn't happen to me, or I haven't seen it, so I don't believe it. Things like that. Like, but I'm telling you that it happened. So I I just think that more conversations and more believing people and understanding people's perspectives and why does he feel this way? Because it can't be because of what the Bible said. Don't try to tell me that the Bible told you that in 2024 a woman is not allowed to have a career. Like, stop. It is not the Bible. It's something else going on. So dig into that. If you guys are friends with this man, to have conversations with them. They're not fun. They're uncomfortable, but have them. And maybe he can learn a little bit more and not hide behind a false book.
Yeah.
Doesn't even say anything like this.
It would be great if, like, because it sounds like, because I listened to other parts of the speech that weren't necessarily just that, but just to get a gist of his whole sentiment throughout. And obviously, you know, he loves his wife, and he gets choked up when talking about her at certain spots.
He doesn't respect
and I almost wonder. No, yeah, right.
He can love her. He can love what she does for him, because she provides him a nice, cushy life when he gets home from work. But does he respect her? Does he support her? Does he want her to be happy? And again, I don't know these people, so I can't say that she's not. And I really hope that she is. And I hope that once she met this man, she decided that her dreams have changed. He must have, have some kind of charisma that convinced her. And I hope truly, deeply in her soul, she is happy. But he doesn't really make it seem like he's an ideal partner.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, Harrison. Thoughts and prayers. We'll see
what happens during the season.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I thought that your point with Taylor Swift was beautiful, and like you drove it home just perfect. Like I mentioned before to everybody, and I think that I'll get you out of here because I just realized what time it is. We're on the East Coast. But Emily Applegate, story of 2020. Actually, I can't even say that because George Floyd happened as well. A lot happened in 2020.
I know.
You slid in there. So go Google her, and you'll understand exactly, some of these references we've made, and you'll understand why it's important that I have her here to talk about these things. I always love our conversations. It's actually eating me up that I can't get into what I like the other part of this, because
so I have to come back.
You have to come back. This is the shortest time we've ever recorded. I think the very first time I was like, look, let's just do like 35 minutes.
Yeah,
we ended up going like an hour and 45, and we had like the internet cut out in between, and so then like we had to like restart it. I had to like flip it up. The second time was an hour and a half. I still have those episodes. They're on Spotify on like the other podcast name or whatever. But yeah, Emily, thank you so much for coming. As usual, I'm so glad to see you doing well. Hear you're doing well. We're still friends on Instagram. I see the dogs. It seems like they're doing well. You seem very, very much in love with your furry friends or your furry children.
Yeah, that is my ultimate happiness in life.
Yeah, having babies to take care of. There you go. You're living proof. Emily Applegate, again, thank you. And I will be in touch, and we will talk soon.
Yes, I'll be back. So thank you very much.